Hey everybody. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
So we're pretty nervous, so the plan is if it totally goes blank, I'm going to talk about wild mushroom foraging for thank you everybody for coming. It's super cool to be here. I've never spoken to this many people. Thank you, Steph, for the introduction. We are super excited to be here this morning. One of my, I don't know, it's sort of a dork thing, but I like to look up words in the 1820 Webster's Dictionary sometimes when I don't know what they are, because it's like, just different. So I looked up reflection, and one of the definitions of it is thought thrown back on itself, on the past, or on the absent. So reflection is a really great word for us. The past 4 years, we've been on a path that we have been dreaming of for years, and it would be impossible without reflection. My favorite word, or one of them anyways, in cooking is refinement. I think the word reflection and refinement are essential to our business and our life. If you look at reflection as a tool, you're able to apply what you learned to your next thought. It seems so simple, but the act of reflecting allows you to refine. And the act of reflection, refinement, and reinvention is constant. We are constantly refining how we cook, how we clean up, how we make drinks, how we provide hospitality to ourselves and our guests. There's nothing I love more than taking a great dish and making it an excellent dish. It requires me to observe and dissect and really meditate the process. The more time you spend reflecting, the more information you have to refine. The goal is to find as many people in our company that help you refine. We believe that an essential part of our continued growth, reflection is only possible when you're growing. This morning, we're going to walk you through the growth and how reflection has played such an important role for us and our team.
Okay, so 2020. So what we've decided to do for this presentation is walk you through where we began and where we are now. And what's really funny is you'll find that there's quite a bit of a repeat concept that we didn't even really realize for ourselves was very full circle. So, 2020, I feel like everybody has a COVID story. The Drifter was ours. We started this business because we needed to pay our car payment. My mom, who's here, Venmo'd us $200, and Mike's parents bought us a Vitamix. And that was it. We had to really put one foot in front of the other, just like everybody else at the time. It was the year of the pivot. It was, really, we were incapable of looking past one single day. We never knew when we were going to be called back to work. We never knew when Mike was going to, maybe have to go back to Charleston Grill. We simply had no plan for life, and I feel like most people didn't either. I know this is shocking, but I actually cooked the first loaf of bread. I used a New York Times recipe, and I like to take full credit. It was not him, but he definitely took
It's also a theme.
He took over for me. I put an ad up on the Wagner Terrace Facebook group. I said we were selling bread for $8 a loaf. I took our daughter, who was 2 years old at the time, on a walk, and I came back and we had sold 60 loaves of bread. And I didn't even tell him. And I called him and I was like, oh my God, you have to buy all the flour. Buy all the flour. We really, this will give you like an idea of like what that looked like. Okay? So that's a baby monitor, an easel that's for a child, but it had our like full schedules. There was like dough everywhere. We were in this like really crappy house, really crappy kitchen that was like really bad, and there were like shelves that had like openings on the top, and like we had all of the bread. I promise it was not super dehacked, but it was great. I think in general we just really put a lot of energy into it. So, I went from event designer to garlic chopper. I will never forget that for the rest of my life. Those big tubs of garlic that I had to smash and delivery driver. I was delivering like 80 houses a day sometimes by myself. You learn how to use Excel, and you know, the thing that we knew very early on was that we were never going to sacrifice quality. I remember like maybe 3 days into this, somebody didn't pick up their bread. Mike was like, I was like, let's just wrap it up, and he's like, no, I'm just gonna make him a new one. And so it was the beginning of us really like putting that first and putting quality first. And he made them a new loaf of bread when they came to pick it up. So it was warm, and everybody got warm bread, and everybody had the same experience no matter what. I have no idea how we did that, by the way. I have no idea how we delivered warm bread for so long.
It's because the oven in our house only would make 2 loaves at a time.
It was good. But we paid our car payment in 2 days. We were in a commissary kitchen in 2 weeks. And, you know, I think that 2020 was not really a time of a lot of reflection. We were, you know, honestly, even when we began, we had to go back into like the camera roll of like things that happened in 2020. It's like, look at that scalp. You know, we couldn't remember a whole lot. I think we were really consumed with just surviving, which is why we associated that word with this year, is that, you know, there was nobody babysitting. We didn't have parents that lived here. You know, there were yeast shortages, there were flour shortages, there were like, it was like the craziest investment we made for the year was a stamp pad to put on our backs. We still have it. You know, but I know that we were very critical of our process from the very beginning. This is one of my delivery drop-offs, by the way. So hand sanitizer, rubber gloves, all the bags. It was a good time. But then we were highly critical of our process, and you know, we constantly asked ourselves, what can we do better? How can we be more efficient? It was slightly unfair given the circumstances, but it was the beginning of us really refining what we were doing.
You did really good. I don't know if I'm going to look up the whole time. You did really good. By the end of 2020, we had done 24 private parties and sold, she says thousands here. I don't know if it was thousands. It was a lot of bread. We sold a bunch of bread. In 2021, the same questions kept coming up. What will happen when restaurants reopen, which is everybody else's restaurant? Will you go back to work? Will you feel and we could feel something happen. It was just the two of us figuring things out as they came up. This little slide is sort of about
I missed it, I'm sorry.
the year of yes. We said yes to every project. I made lunch for an executive board for 20 people for 5 weeks straight, Monday through Friday, with different stuff. That was just like, they were like, would you make us lunch? And we're like, of course. And
It was
said,
like salads
yeah,
with stickers on them.
it was great.
Weird.
We started out with nothing, so we made mistakes. We just shrugged it off. We just kept focusing on hospitality and taking care of our service as best we could. We got to know our clients more and more, and always knew that the next client was sitting in the room of tonight's dinner. We gained the confidence to add our point of view to clients' vision. We visited their homes, we refined our process, and we got better at the details. All this effort helped us to bring the client's personality to the events. It was an incredible tool to ensure the dinners were creating. It was an incredible tool to ensure that the dinners were creating matched each client in a highly intentional way. We became obsessed with the business model that removed the middleman. Our clients came directly to the source. All food and beverage and service was through me. All design, florals, planning through Courtney. She picked plates that were perfect for each dish. I designed menus based on clients and their style. We invested in high quality aprons and high-end plateware and cool glasses and specialty linens as we knew that no one else offered. We were trying to articulate a new language of catering in a luxury space. What we learned is that people were craving what we were offering. craving a level of service and hospitality that wasn't available at the time. We were investing in ways that likely made no sense to the naked eye. We had to wholly trust ourselves and each other in a really uneasy time. I think it's important to try to remember 2020 and early 2021, and just the world was just much different, especially for food and beverage people. Like, I mean, everybody that I talked to was, lost their job or was on it. Like, it was just not like it is now, where we're all just like trying to continue growing and making our food and things better. So, the first full-time hire for our company was our pastry chef, Travis Sy, who's sitting right there. For those in restaurants, a pastry chef can seem like a third, fourth, or even unnecessary hire. But we knew the role was crucial for our growth. I've actually never really had a pastry chef when I was a chef at places. That's partly why I was able to do the drifter and make cakes and make bread and stuff, because I never really had one. First, we knew Travis was a loyal friend and leader. Second, we knew he could take the thing we knew that we excelled in, and together we could make it better. He was our first Swiss Army knife. Pastry chef, bread baker, event chef, whatever was needed. We fry a lot of food together sometimes.
Fry daddy.
Yeah, fry daddies. He also,
Stay tuned for that.
That's gonna come in a couple of years. He also made all those delicious baked goods for you this morning. They're outside. This allowed me to spend more time on many new things. Like, this allowed me to completely elevate the cuisine and just solely focus on the overall experience for people and the whole level of service. We wanted to keep pushing things to the next level. The parties got bigger. The staff started to get bigger with it. We were trying to train the team to make the work easier for everyone. We had been doing so much work on our own that our accountant told us to hire more people because we paid way too much money in taxes. He was like, "Do you have any staff?" And he's like, "Go ahead and hire some people." So we moved on to the hiring part. We hired many different personalities and skill sets. We took chances on people and tried to figure out what worked for our little company. We learned a lot. We learned we needed to write job descriptions before sending job offers. We learned we cannot have time off policies that are like Google. We also learned we need to give ourselves some grace. A new staff, QuickBooks, which is a thing apparently, bookkeepers, accountants, laser printers, all these different things that we now had in our business. We really didn't like a lot of it. But it made me feel like we had sort of a real company. Like, I kept saying, I just want to feel like I'm a real company and I'm not just like a person pretending to cook dinner for people and hope for the best. We just kept trying to pour our passion into everyone we hired.
2023, where do we begin? We ended 2022 with a ton of new people. Spring of 23, we internally refer to as the year of hiring and firing. Externally, it was the year where everybody was like, "Holy shit, you went to Mallorca, that's awesome." And like, awesome. We lost 3 employees and 3 interns in 6 weeks. Some quit, some were fired, but we're not all fired. We were 2 weeks away from a 5-day wedding in Mallorca that we were designing, planning, cooking. It was wild. We took on too much, we delegated too much, and we just assumed that everything was being done. And, it was the lifelong lesson that we over-delegated and we gave away too much of what we knew we could handle, I think. It was a time of self-reflection for us this year. We pulled everything back. I drove around listening to like leadership podcasts in my car. We realigned. We realized that we needed to oversee the minute details again. We had grown so quickly, and we weren't touching the things that we needed to. We learned how to say no. That's why this is the year of no. It was necessary. It was a huge shift for our company. We rebuilt from the bottom up. We really. That was the last one. We went through budgeting and contracts, and we just became obsessed with being sure that they were correct. We set boundaries. We learned we needed to protect our brand, but we also needed to continue to take chances. We started hiring differently. We looked at resumes of people that had longevity, people that had done hard things, people that had, I was gonna say play sports, but does anybody play sports? So, something different. We knew we needed people that knew how to drive a box truck. And could forage plants and do weird shit that we asked them to do. And at the end of the day, we realized we just need an entire team of Swiss Army knives. We need somebody that can do a little bit of everything. Maybe not everybody does the same thing, but everybody can do a little bit of everything. We hired a girl to be our accountant, but she's also a bartender, and that's really super handy. She's great. She's so cute. I think this year was instrumental to where we are today. Step back, noticed, listened, acted on a plan that we have really tried to hold on to. And that's not to say we don't continue to refine or continue to follow where this business is taking us, but it gave us the tools to be able to know what we needed and hold ourselves accountable. So this last picture here is the end. That's my sister, by the way. She's right here. She doesn't really look like that. This was after Mallorca. Okay, we looked like we got left in the desert. It was 112 degrees. We had a ceremony in an orange grove that we had visited 3 months prior to that was filled with oranges. And when we got there, it was not. It was looked like it had caught on fire. And we had a ceremony at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we had to work in 5-minute shifts. Do you remember that? We had to carry all of the ceremony chairs from the top of the mountain down and then back up. And we rolled out rugs, and it was literally, we always joke now, and we'll just be in the shits, and we'll be the orange groves. It's there's literally nothing harder, I believe, in my life than that day. So, and that's the product of that, actually. It's distraught. We were done. So, we're back to surviving. This year taught us so much about ourselves, how much we can handle, how far we can push ourselves. We had to survive all over again. We have made really good friends with the people at the zoning committee office, whoever. I realized in going back through my photos that I actually had taken this picture. You can't see it, but it says, the one on the left says, July 15th of 2021. So I have loved this building forever. I used to park my car in front of it and look in the windows of it. And then when it became available, I parked my car in front of it again and walked around it in circles, and I looked through the windows, and I kept calling, and they eventually answered the phone, and it was me. It didn't matter that it was small. We just poured ourselves into the idea of it being this really special place that we manifested. And it was this really cool secret that we held on to for months. It was like being super pregnant. You were like, oh my God, I'm just gonna burst. I want to tell everyone. And then we decided we were gonna announce it. And honestly, probably a little early considering it's still not open. Next one. We had to get really creative on how to activate this new brand while also continuing to keep our current brand while, saving money and pouring into Merci. And I think we collectively all agreed that there's simply nothing beneath us if we're doing it the way that we want to do it. So we started selling bread again, and we started doing these bake sales in July, really hot. And, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning again to roll out dough because everybody refused to sell pastries that were made the day before, even though we were opening at 9 o'clock in the morning for picnic. And so it was the most inefficient thing, and it's also something that we have never been. We're not a super efficient company. We do things the really hard way. We make your bread over again. And I think that that's something that we're really trying to, encapsulate in what we move forward. And I think that as we move into the next chapter, the focus for us is super simple. The importance of change while so very much trying to stay the same.
So we sort of worked ourselves back to the beginning. Survival was our original word for the first year, and it's also our new word for the next year. It has a much different meaning now than it did in 2020. We now have a lot to lose, and people have greater expectations. How do you keep improving somebody's party that you've done 3 times? So this year we actually had 2 people that were doing their Christmas party for the 4th time. We don't even use linens twice, so it just makes things difficult. And I'm like, how many, I go from French food to Italian food to Spanish food to I don't know, it's like, it's hard to kind of get a Christmas party to be of a different nature. So how do we grow as a company and keep our personal quality standards from dropping? We've learned to focus on our clients. We are throwing parties for people that we generally care about now, which is cool. People we've done parties for many times. It makes the process incredible. After we've done one party, the second party for people is always much easier because they know, they trust us, and hopefully we're not going to screw it up. That's sort of the goal. So we learn so much about our clients and our people, and it makes them trust us to do things that excite us. I love cooking on live fire, and now we own a wood-fired pizza oven and a wood-fired Argentinian grill. That would only happen if our clients trusted us to make their events amazing. How do we grow as a company and keep our personal quality standards from dropping? How can you be certain the feeling will be the same as we take on more? How do you replicate ourselves? Our answer is found in one of my favorite quotes by Chef Marco Pierre White. A good chef is like the Pied Piper, they follow. Everyone needs to pull on the same rope. We try our best to hire people that bring greatness to our team, and especially in areas that we do not excel. Building our team with professional people that make us better and stronger is super important to us. Everyone pulling on the same rope, bringing people on for the ride. Our restaurant, Merci, is going to be something entirely new for us, but we know the team we have alongside us will help keep us grounded. In the beginning, we can always go back to working for other people. That's still true today. It's something that I don't ever want to do again, but the joy of working together through all the highs and lows, that loss would be too high for us. So we go onward, working without a doubt.